The team soon reaches the impenetrable surface bedrock. The tower is empty. No artifacts, no remains, just rock.
So I'm thinking of basically shutting down mine.
Nothing's coming out on the sieves.
Yeah, it's the
no
same.
signs of human remains at all.
The empty towers are puzzling. Evidence may have been degraded by time and weather, or even removed by looters. It's also possible these aren't grave sites after all. The team must now re-evaluate their theories. But to Hugh, this is still progress.
It is frustrating to be an archaeologist sometimes, because I always describe it like putting a puzzle together. You don't have the box lid. That's been thrown out long ago. And you might get a little snapshot of a corner over here and a side over there, and you've got to try and fill in the rest of that puzzle with your own theories.
Archaeologists piece together the past by studying evidence left behind by ancient peoples. But the collective memory of living people also holds vital clues. The Bedouin are a nomadic people that have called the deserts of the Near East home for at least 2,000 years. Ali Bahir's family has lived in Alula for generations. The recent influx of outsiders has not gone unnoticed.
هم يرون أن العلا مكان اهتمام الجميع، جميع بلدان العالم.
هي الآثار الحين لها قيمة في تغيير للأحسن. يعطيكم العافية.
The Bedouins have many stories concerning these enigmatic monuments. They believe them to be far older than Hegra, Dadan, or any of the other civilizations that once called Alula home.
الأنباط ورثة إن هذه آثارهم. هذا قول الكبار اللي طلعت عليهم.
قال إنها من العصر الحجري.
If these stories are true, it would make the desert monuments Alula's oldest signs of civilization. But exactly how old remains elusive.
This looks to me like part of the same basic building tradition.
Yeah.
Jamie Quatermain leads another team documenting these sites.
Look how well built those facades are.
Well, I think we might have had a chamber in here.
Today they're exploring a pendant monument. But instead of excavating, they're using non-invasive technology.
I'm pretty well ready to launch.
Jamie's expertise is creating three-dimensional digital models of ancient sites.
What we're doing is providing systematic coverage across the whole of the area. We're taking photographs every couple of seconds, which we can then combine all of the photographs, so we end up with an accurate three-dimensional model of the whole land surface.
These models are an ideal tool for off-site analysis, especially here in Alula, with over 21,000 sites.
The prospect of going into almost untouched archaeological landscape was probably one of the most exciting things of my life. And as we've been concentrating and working on the landscape, we see more and more of the monuments coming up. We start beginning to see a much wider and much more important picture.
That picture may start with this structure. They're called mustatil, the Arabic word for rectangle. The largest stretch more than 5 football fields. They may be the oldest of the desert monuments, perhaps the earliest design. The team made a key discovery about the mustatil. Other structures were sometimes built directly over them, but never the other way around.
Zach Clean indicated that Mustatil were earlier, but whether they were 10 years earlier, 20 years earlier, or 2,000 years earlier is what is only now coming to the fore.
To test this theory that the mustatils are Alula's most ancient structure, archaeologist Wael Abu-Azizeh leads the excavation team.
For me, it was really an amazing opportunity. As an archaeological project, it's huge. Things go very fast, and we're discovering a lot of things. So it's slightly overwhelming, the quantity of archaeology that we're finding here.
The mustatil's outer walls seem to enclose a large inner courtyard. Perhaps a space for social gathering.
When you work on these, you tend to try to understand how the social groups were composed, how many people were involved in the construction of a mustatil, how long did it take them to construct this. They could be anything. They could be burials, they could be temples.
To find answers, Wael must decide which mustatil to excavate first. There are hundreds to choose from. The one he selects surprises many team members. It's highly degraded and barely recognizable.
When I first came here, to be honest with you, I was thinking, really? Really? Wait a minute. Perhaps not. Almost dismissed it. Have fun. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. It did not look substantial.
It's a risky decision. Choose wrong, and precious weeks could be wasted digging and finding nothing. But Wael has a hunch. This mustatil is built right up against a prominent rock outcrop, presumably an intentional choice by the builders.
The presence of the outcrop was probably something that had a meaning for them.
Wael's team begins by carefully excavating the ground directly below the outcrop.
هذا تمام. بس هنا بده شوي.
Slowly, what at first appears to be loose piles of rock begins to reveal a complex labyrinth of chambers.
So we are still in the very early stage, but already some structural remains start to appear. There's something going on here.
And then, after weeks of meticulous work,
Wow.
ancient charcoal. There was a fire here. Man-made fire.
C'est impressionnant la quantité de charbon là-dedans.
Ils sont énormes.
Charcoal is ideal for radiocarbon dating. Hard evidence that might finally reveal the age of these structures. But the ancient fire turns out to be just the beginning of an even more dramatic discovery. In a distant corner of Saudi Arabia, archaeologist Wael Abu-Azizeh and his team have discovered ancient charcoal.
Wow.
Evidence they hope will help them date a mysterious desert structure called a mustatil.
And what is also exciting is the very good preservation state of these charcoals. Just like It's just being taken from your barbecue, except that these charcoals are very old.
It's also a tantalizing clue about the function of the mustatil. YL uncovers 2 fire hearths in what appears to be an enclosed chamber. Is it some kind of altar?
And we are now working on clearing the inside of this chamber to try to understand what was the function of it. So we're wondering, what were they doing here in this specific area, which obviously seemed very, very special.
The evidence is beginning to suggest the mustatil served a ceremonial purpose.
So it gives us the impression that these structures were involved in the ritual beliefs of the people at that time.
Meanwhile, after their disappointment at the looted pendant, Hugh and Mel continue their search for evidence that some monuments mark ancient grave sites.
So today we're driving up to the west of Alula, and we're going to a site that's called the Standing Stone Circle site, which is a type of structure which we know very little about. And we're hoping to excavate some of the structures surrounding these standing stone circles that we think may be undisturbed.
I'm fascinated by why they build these things. These stones weigh hundreds of kilos. You know, it takes a lot of effort to build that. So yeah, the question is why?
The team gets to work. And this time, their perseverance pays off.
Look at the color of it.
Yeah, let's clean that hole. Look at it. Bang it.
And now we're in this rubbly fill. And inside that, you can see that we're starting to get fragments of bone.
The first finds are animal bone. And then
We've got part of a vertebrae, possibly lumbar.
human bone.
So we'll have to make sure we put that in the finds bag.
Yep. So finding bone here tells us that we're really close to a burial.
It's now clear, among these monuments are tombs. The full discovery is assembled back at the team's base camp.
How many fragments of bone did we find?
We collected over 1,500 fragments. So there's a minimum of 6 adults in that site.
Even more significant are the dating results.
This grave has given us a radiocarbon date of 3900 BC. So that's about 6,000 years old.
6,000 years ago, a few thousand years after the emergence of farming, civilizations in the Fertile Crescent were building large-scale structures. But this evidence indicates early builders were already here in Arabia. These bones may be evidence of a never-before-seen chapter in human history.
I think the main reason I do archaeology is because I love thinking about people in antiquity. And so the more we excavate, the more I can kind of come up with those stories in my mind.
Hugh and Mel's discovery deepens Alula's historic significance and makes safeguarding the ancient sites a more vital challenge. And with tourism ramping up, the pressure is mounting. Alula